Hello and welcome to another episode of The Average EV. Today I have cold soaked my Equinox EV, so the battery's very cold, and I'm going to drive it without preconditioning, and I'm going to see how slow it charges when the battery is cold. Let's get into it. Okay, so here is what's gonna happen, everybody. I have gotten the car down to 31% state of charge. When I drive there, obviously I'll lose some state of charge, and the battery is cold. I'm actually gonna not even run climate or anything like that. I'm gonna reduce as much power draw so that the battery stays as cold as possible, and then I'm gonna plug in. And right off at the top of the video, I'm gonna say, I know it's gonna be slower. I just wanna know how much slower, and then how long does it take the car to actually heat up during the charging process, possibly to get to semi-reasonable charging speeds, if at all. So that's kind of what we're gonna do today. I chose 30% instead of saying a 40 or 50 because I know that this car can get the max speeds when it's at 30% state of charge. And so it'll be a little bit lower than that. So we can at least know that it should have been 150, but it was this. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna drive over nice and easy. I'm gonna put climate on. It's a little chilly outside. So I like science, but I also like not freezing. So that's the one power draw I'll have, which is a pretty big power draw. But I'll turn it down on low, just enough so I don't freeze. So let's go ahead, travel over the supercharger and get this experiment rolling. So I just put the climate on and it looks like it's pulling 4 kilowatts. So just let that be known, that this will warm up a little bit, but not that much, really not that much, if at all. I didn't say this off the top of the video, but I did check in the car scanner app and the battery average is -1 and the exterior temp is -3 degrees Celsius respectively, which is 27 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's 27 degrees Fahrenheit, probably 29 degrees Fahrenheit for the battery. Let's get going. One thing I want to mention in this video is regen. So basically when the battery's cold, it can't take in as much energy. That's the same kind of principle as to why I'm pretty sure we're gonna get reduced speeds at a supercharger. But when you have reduced regen, you have reduced efficiency because one of the biggest ways that an EV recoups energy is through regen. So right now I'm regenning, and actually I saw up to 50 kilowatts, which is the most I've ever seen when the battery's cold, and this is colder than I've seen it. But usually I've seen like between 40 to like 45 kilowatts, so maybe 50. But usually when I regen, especially if I regen really hard, I would get about 110 kilowatts. So that's basically half the regen that you would normally be getting, therefore half the energy that you would normally be getting put back into the battery to improve your efficiency. So if during the winter you're seeing your efficiency is a little bit lower, there you go. It's really regen, it has a big thing to do with it. Now there's a whole bunch of other things. I'm actually gonna put out a couple winter videos. I'm gonna put out like a preliminary winter video with tips and stuff like that. And then I'm actually gonna take all the tips I said and I'm gonna actually do the experiments, if you will. This is one of them. And I'm gonna show like what it actually looks like, just so you know that when you start to have reduced range, it's okay, and the car is still livable. This is for over 3 years now, I've had EVs. My brother's had EVs since 2013 and he lived in Colorado, and you know, it's really been fine. Yeah, so anyways, we're gonna go ahead and keep going here to the supercharger. If anything else pops into my head, I'll throw it in there. But like I said, I do have a winter video that I've been writing everything up for that I'll be presenting to you all very soon. I've made it to the supercharger. There is actually a Tesla in the best spot for me to not block anything, and there's a lot of Teslas here. So I'm just gonna wait for that person to leave, and then I'm gonna go take that charging stall. But to go over a few things, we arrived here with an average battery temperature of 4 degrees Celsius. So basically it raised 5 degrees Celsius. So that's, you know, over freezing, so 32 degrees. I didn't do the exact calculation for you. Maybe I'll put them right here. Maybe I won't, we'll see. Anyways, our efficiency was 2.5 miles per kilowatt hour. Usually when I take this trip, because this is pretty close to Costco where I go a lot, I'll get like anywhere from 3.5 to 4 miles per kilowatt hour. So definitely a decrease in efficiency there, which was to be expected. And that was 18.3 miles of driving. So I'm not saying every time you drive 18.3 miles, it'll raise 5 degrees Celsius, but the battery will heat up a little bit because when you're regenning, it's putting energy into the battery. And this does have a heat pump, so I'm not sure what capabilities it has, whether it can take heat from the motors and stuff like that, but as the motors warm up, that could certainly heat things up as well. So gonna go ahead and wait here. Hopefully it won't be too long, and then I'm gonna go ahead and plug in. Okay, so turn of events, it's like slammed here at this supercharger, which I've actually never seen it completely full, and it's completely full right now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna walk over to Starbucks, take my time, come back, and hopefully some of these cars will be cleared out. A Tesla Cybertruck just plugged into the stall that I wanted to use. It's my fault because I'm sitting afar, so I don't look, whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not in a hurry, so I don't need to look like I need to charge. Like, some of these people might need to charge. So the Cybertruck took it. Not a big deal. Not upset at all. But very interesting. So I'm going to walk over, like I said, hopefully the battery will cool down a little bit more. But yeah, so let's go ahead, walk over there. I'm going to get something more, maybe a peppermint mocha latte, something like that. So I just plugged in. It's been about a minute actually. So I plugged in a minute ago, and it's actually shot up to 94 kilowatts. Now we're at 91 kilowatts. At 24% state of charge, 27 degrees Fahrenheit. Batteries pack is at about 4 degrees Celsius. I'm going to keep monitoring it. As you can see, it's been dropping while I've been talking to you. But I'm going to keep monitoring it and see if it goes up ever, and then I'll give you some updates. So this is kind of interesting. It's been jumping around between 75 and 79. Usually this is like really locked in and then will gradually change. The only other time I saw this was when I was at a Pilot Flying J site. But I've charged literally on this dispenser a ton of times and never seen this. So must have something to do with the cold. Again, I'm not like a electrical engineer, so I don't know what that could be, but it's just interesting. Now it looks like it's kind of settled down there at 75 kilowatts. We'll see if anything changes. It's just kind of been hanging around 250-ish amps. It must be a little bit lower than 250 amps now because we're at 75 kilowatts, but yeah, interesting. So we have finally reached the temperature that the battery wants to be at the start of a charge, from what I can tell. And we're still getting pretty low. It's actually gone down, I think, since I last checked in with you all. 64 kilowatts at 53%. It's been 20 minutes and 14 seconds. So, yeah, obviously cold had an impact. I knew that from the start. I thought maybe it might recover, but, when a battery's colder, there's more resistance, right? Which causes less energy to flow into the battery. So I think I guess once you plug in, and it is what it is. To add on, around this state of charge, 54%, we would probably be expecting 120 to 100 kilowatts, somewhere in that range. It depends on the charge, but so we're definitely getting a degraded experience here, only by about 40 kilowatts, which all things considered is not the worst in the world. We are at 29 degrees Celsius in the battery pack, and we're actually finally starting to see the speeds go up here. We're back to 70 kilowatts. So I guess the battery wants to kind of meet the temperature thresholds for, however it has things set for different percentages. So I guess it's getting closer now and building up here, which is good. So you will see a recovery eventually. It just takes a really long time. It's been 26 minutes and 49 seconds at this point in time, so quite a long time. So I've been watching the amperage drop, and so obviously the power is dropping here. We're at 71 kilowatts, but it rode 74 for a while, then 73, then 72, now we're at 71. So yeah, it's just kind of cutting the power a little bit. So definitely don't expect top speeds. As I said, I knew coming into this we were going to get reduced speeds. I just kind of wanted to see how this car behaved, and now we know. All right, so that full charge took 41 minutes and 2 seconds, and that was with a cold battery. Again, we started at 4 degrees Celsius. All right, now we're going to head home. I'll catch up with you all on the drive back. All right, everyone, so let's recap what we just witnessed. So we plugged in, got around 90 kilowatts, and then it slowly walked its way down till it was about mid 60s, and then it walked its way back up to about 74.32, and then it ended, I believe, at 69 kilowatts. So while not good, also not the worst. Some cars, you'll see them pegged at 30 kilowatts if they're not preconditioned, or 40 kilowatts. The ID4, prime example, charges really, really slow when the battery's cold. So for this to plug in at 2 degrees and get 90 kilowatts off the bat, and then pretty much have like an average of around 70-ish, upper 70s for the whole charge session, is not the end of the world. Now, should we not precondition? No. So let's talk about preconditioning really quick. So with the Equinox EV, there are two options. So either you can route to a charger and it will automatically precondition. Additionally, if you set a route, right, and it's taking you to multiple chargers, it will precondition for each charger for you, which is a really nice feature, and then you don't have to think about it. You can, if you want, manually precondition. I don't see any reason to do that if you are routing to a charger or using the onboard navigation, but say you want to use a better route planner or something like that, then you could certainly route to you could certainly use the manual precondition if you want, but that's totally up to you. And if you do that, it's going to warm the battery up, and then it's going to avoid a lot of this. It just kind of depends, how long the drive is to the charger, as to whether it'll get to the temperature that the battery wants to get full speed. Later this winter, I am going to do another test just like this, where I'm going to precondition instead. So I'll try and leave my house around 30 or 31%, but I'll precondition. We'll see what we arrive with, and then we'll see what the battery warms up to by the time we make it to the supercharger. Again, it was only like, 18-mile drive, not that long of a distance, so it'll be a nice little test. Okay, so let's move on to a next concern maybe some people might have. Oh my gosh, in the cold, is my car gonna charge that slow all the time? So let's say you're on a road trip and you're hopping charger to charger, you're doing your thing. Pretty much, as long as you get the battery warm the first time and then you're charging and you're stopping every hour or two, the battery's not going to cool down that much, and then the preconditioning's going to, make up the difference to get it where it wants to be. So pretty much you're not going to see that much change in charging once you're on the road for a road trip, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. So I wouldn't worry too much about that when it comes to charging, because obviously waiting 40 minutes instead, that probably would have taken, 27 to 32 minutes. I don't know. I'm throwing some numbers because there's about 20% state of charge. So yeah, around there. If with a warm battery, yeah, that's a pretty big difference when you're on a road trip. So yeah, no worries about that. As long as the battery's warm, it's going to charge well. So there's that. Now I don't want to dig too much into this in this video, but just know that still on a road trip in the winter, you are going to have efficiency losses from obviously trying to keep the climate going, and then obviously when it's colder, the air is denser, harder to push out of the way, so your car is going to be more inefficient. And also maybe if it's snowing or the road's wet, that could affect things as well. So there's a lot of factors that kind of affect your range in the winter. And I also mentioned the regen. However, the regen, once the battery's warm, should be a little bit better, and that should help out. So I'm driving home right now. I just thought for fun, let's see what the efficiency is. Now, this is not going to be a complete apples to apples because I have the heat running, but just for fun, let's see with the heat running how much more efficient this is, just because it has a little bit warmer of a battery. We've got, it's actually pretty much almost an even elevation, so like going one way versus the other is about the same. So I know it won't be apples to apples, but it'll be fun just to see. So let's go ahead, get on the road, and then I'll wrap this video up at home. For our completely non-scientific experiment, we got 0.1 mile per kilowatt hour more, but I was wrong. It was actually way more hilly. So if we had done like a loop style to compare, this probably would have been more like 2.9 maybe, I would say. But yeah, because there was a lot of hills coming back. But still, that was just a fun little test to see. So that's it, everyone. No shock. Like I said, I knew that we were going to get slower charging speeds. Now we know about what we're going to get. And honestly, not the worst in comparison to some other EVs like the Ioniq 5 and the ID4, where they charge very miserably when the battery's not preconditioned at all. This wasn't too bad. So there's that, but like I said, just precondition and you're gonna get better charging speeds than that. That's the absolute worst that could possibly happen. I guess I shouldn't say that because I've never charged this at like negative 40 degrees Celsius, or negative, that was really cold, negative 20 degrees Celsius. So that would probably be a little bit worse, but again, you can still precondition the battery and that's gonna help it out. You know, it might be fun. Down in the comments, leave down, you know, your experiences with charging in the cold, if you preconditioned, what charge speed you got when you plugged in, at what state of charge. That might be fun to see. So yeah, so thanks again for watching. Be on the lookout for some more of my winter videos. I'm going to be doing a bunch of those, and then I'm also going to do like a like ultimate winter guide for the Chevy Equinox EV, just so people kind of know what to expect when they're getting an EV, because it is a different experience for the most part compared to an internal combustion engine car, which I think a lot of people are moving from internal combustion to Chevy Equinox EV because it's a familiar brand and pricing and stuff like that. So thanks again for watching. If you haven't already, please remember to give a like, a subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will catch you all next time.